Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Oh, blue skies smiling at me.
Irving Berlin.
Nothing but blue skies do I see.
Wait, why is the android singing?
Well, it's supposed to be a gift to his two friends and colleagues. You see, he and the rest of the crew have spent about 6 years serving together aboard a spaceship, encountering all sorts of things. But despite it all, they stuck together through thick and thin.
Okay, that's nice and all. But why the singing?
Well, that's a big thing for Data. He spent his entire career aboard the Enterprise trying to figure out the concept of humanity, trying to be human himself. He's grown a lot since he first started serving aboard the ship. And in a way, him singing to his friends, Will Riker and Deanna Troi, it's his gift, basically to show how much he's grown, from his cold, mechanical self to a fully realized being.
Okay, so Star Trek is all about singing androids and space marriage?
Huh? No, I mean, technically. We do get a couple of weddings, and we do get Vic Fontaine at some point, though he's a hologram, but that's neither here nor there. Star Trek is about a lot of things. Love, war, the ambiguity of morality, and even just straight-up friendship.
Whoa, sounds like a lot for one show to tackle.
It's not just one show, my friend. You sit right there. I'll go get the PowerPoint presentation.
Uh-oh. I just opened up a can of worms, didn't I?
How you doing, everyone? It's your old friend Jim here, and I come to you with a topic that I hold close to my heart. Star Trek! In case the intro wasn't any indication. And in case you need a quick refresher on what the show tends to be about, here's past me from 7 years ago giving the best explanation ever. A bunch of space explorers hop on a space boat and fight aliens with either guns or diplomacy. So yeah, this is a show that's been in my life for as long as I can remember, and I love practically every iteration that's come out. Well, okay, I loved most iterations and kind of acknowledged others as well. I'm sorry, I appreciate Discovery, but it just wasn't my jam. Anyways, regardless of my positive or negative feelings towards any given show in the franchise, the concept as a whole has always been something that's inspired and interested me to a ridiculous degree. So why am I being long-winded about not Star Wars? Well, because one of my favorite shows in the franchise has not been renewed for a new season, and it's coming to an end this year. That show is Star Trek Lower Decks. This show right here, alongside the live-action show Strange New Worlds, feels like a jolt of familiarity that's been missing in the franchise for oh so long. It can be fast-paced at times, ridiculous with its plots, and some of the plots are, well,
What are they doing? Oh God, they're mating!
rather unique in their execution, but at the heart of it all, it's written with love and affection for a franchise, nay, a universe that so many of us grew up with. So true to the name of the series, it follows a ragtag group of junior officers who serve aboard the Federation starship Cerritos, which is pretty much the workhorse of Starfleet. Well, there are all kinds of starships in Starfleet. You got big ones, small ones that are specifically created for scientific ventures, some that are actually just geared for straight up war, and then you got some that are outfitted in such a way that makes you worried because you got a whole city in there complete with schools and families and stuff, and then you run into major conflicts like every other week? I mean, come on, I get it, the Enterprise D was the flagship at the time, but that just seems like either poor planning or poor timing. So, of course, Starfleet would have ships that are more akin to the equivalent of a tugboat, a ship that does all the dirty work a more prestigious ship wouldn't do. While a big one like the Enterprise is encountering new life and new civilizations, the Cerritos is visiting already discovered planets and offering them ongoing support. handling much less glamorous and more messy missions.
Huh. I'm gonna be honest with you, boss. That sounds sort of boring.
Yeah, no, but see, that's the thing. It really isn't. We never get to see anything like that in the Trek shows of yesteryear or even in present. Star Trek has always focused on the flagships of the time. Ships like the Enterprise, Voyager. They even focused on a goddamn space station. However, in their defense, a lot of stuff happened on Deep Space Nine.
Come along now. Come along. There we go.
And also was in a rather strategic place, given the Dominion War, but that's a whole other thing entirely. There are a few instances where Star Trek does focus on minor characters, like Lower Deckers, but they're very much far and in between. Most episodes focus on the senior officers or the bridge crew. Though for what it's worth, the Next Generation episode Lower Decks has been noted as being one of the main inspirations for the show, and in actuality, if you stick with the series, there's a huge payoff in regards to that. Alright, so the Cerritos in this case is a California-class starship. It's always been there, but it's never really been seen up until Star Trek Lower Decks. The reason given for this is because it's a utility ship. And support utility ships aren't usually the main focus of stories. I mean, honestly, we're lucky enough to catch a glimpse of an Akira class or a Nebula class for that matter. Regardless, this particular show focuses on a ragtag group of Starfleet officers who got layers and absolutely filled to the brim with personality. Okay, so you got Beckett Mariner, who kicks ass and is often dismissive of any and all rules in Starfleet. Bradward Boimler, who is extremely uptight and lives to follow the rules. I mean, the guy just thrives on structure. Devana Tendi, who is one of the first, if not the first, Orion to serve in Starfleet. She loves science and is an enduring ball of sunshine, and I love her to bits. And last but certainly not least, Samantha Rutherford, an engineering officer who wears a cybernetic implant and who is shipper and is just ridiculously talented engineering officer, although I do question his morality sometimes. Oh, and an honorable mention to a cast member who joins the later season, T'Lyn. This Vulcan hothead gets transferred to the Cerritos because she's just out of control.
You will spend the next 2 days in meditation.
No, I do not have time for that. I have another project which is nearing culmination.
T'Lyn, get a hold of yourself. These outbursts will not be tolerated. 2 days. Work on your self-control through silent meditation.
Oh my god, she's a loose cannon! Oh, and I love her to absolute bits. Okay, so the main focus of the show is to follow their exploits, and sometimes even the exploits of the more senior officers. I mean, you can't forget about the bridge crew, right? From the potentially universe-shattering to the completely mundane, this show covers every possible aspect that fans would often wonder about Star Trek. But see, it's also a lot more than that. It's obvious that the people who write for the show love Star Trek over its many iterations. From references to obscure things like lots and lots of stuff from like the original series to the Next Generation, to expanding the lore of characters who only appeared for like one episode. The writing staff really know their Star Trek.
What about all those complaints that it was just basically Rick and Morty but with a Star Trek skin slapped on it?
An unfounded comparison. Well, okay, maybe not totally unfounded. The first season was a little rough, and I can see why people were drawing those similarities. But once season 2 gets going, oh, that's when they start really gaining their footing. In my humble opinion, anyway. And there's just so much that they're able to cram in each and every single episode. And each one is like only 24 to 25 minutes long. The amount of storytelling that they're able to pull off is just ridiculous, I tell you what. Oh my god, and the caliber of writing, it's almost always a home run.
I'm sorry, I gotta be honest. I didn't join Starfleet to get in phaser fights. I signed up to explore, to be out in space making new discoveries and peaceful diplomatic solutions. That's boldly going. And you know what? I'd love to be in a string quartet. I love that when Riker was on the Enterprise, he was out there jamming on the trombone and catching love disease and acting in plays and meeting his identical transporter clone Thomas. That stuff may not seem as cool as what you guys do, but it's Starfleet all the way.
There are some meat and taters in here as far as narratives go. The core of Lower Decks is its ability to tell its stories while interweaving itself within the established Star Trek lore, which is no small feat. I mean, we're talking about a franchise that's been going on for nearly 60 years. In the end, I just want people to know about this show, especially if they enjoy Star Trek. I mean, this show ain't perfect by any means, but it's not every day you get a show made by fans for fans. I mean, it's a love letter and an honest critique of a show and its setting with unforgettable characters who have made a huge impact on me in both a creative and a personal sense. I love this show, and I'll be forever sad that it's ending before it really had a chance to take flight.
Wow, boss. It's been a while since I've seen you get a bit emotional about a show of all things.
What can I say, Chip? It's been a long time since I've stumbled upon a show that I really feel passionate about. That one that hits all the right spots when it comes to a piece of media that I enjoy consuming.
Well, if it's any consolation, there's still Star Trek Prodigy, the new season of Strange New Worlds, and that one Section 31 series. So, we won't be running out of Star Trek anytime soon.
I know, Chip, I know. And while I look forward to watching those other shows to see what they have in store for us, I just can't help but pour one out for a show that not only revitalized my love for the franchise, but helped me introduce a whole slew of friends to Star Trek, just who never would have given it a chance otherwise. To all the cast and crew of this phenomenal show, thank you for everything. Here's hoping we can continue the adventures of the Cerritos in some way, shape, or form before she finally gets put into mothballs. Live long and prosper.